Mitchell, and it looked like Kelsey Mitchell is in some serious hot water yet again. Guys, for this one here.
The catchphrase, "We all we got, we all we need," by Kelsey Mitchell gained immediate traction and sparked heated debate among both fans and commentators. Now that Clark and Cunningham's names are being brought up in the conversation, the main question is whether she will regret it. Let's investigate further. Did Kelsey go too far and jeopardize the team's cohesion, or was she only boosting her squad?
She's been here for the good, the bad, the ugly, and pretty much ever since the team been trash. Now, ever since Caitlin has got to the team, ever since Caitlin has joined the team, the Indiana Fever has grown notoriety across the world. They is the hottest WNBA team in the country and pretty much one of the biggest teams in all of sports. With all of that being said, Kelsey Mitchell has been taking it upon herself to kind of say little things. And
through thick and thin, Kelsey Mitchell has been a part of the Indiana Fever. She has endured losing seasons, performed in stadiums that were only partially occupied, and persisted during a period when not many people were interested in the Fever's activities. For persevering and playing through those difficult years, Mitchell is deserving of every accolade in the world. Here's the problem, though. She does not have the right to say anything she wants without repercussions just because she is the longest player. Things took a turn for the worse at that point. "Run, we all we got, we all we need," was the first thing Mitchell said. Context is important, even if it could have seemed like a traditional locker room rallying cry that athletes use frequently to encourage their colleagues. Furthermore, the context was crucial in this instance. Mitchell said that this motto came about as a result of Caitlin Clark's accident.
Kelsey, one of your teammates said yesterday that you started saying in the huddles, we're all we got, we all we need.
Yeah, I said we all we got, we all we need, yeah.
How did that kind of come about? And do you remember when you started sharing that message?
Probably, it might have been after somebody got hurt. I won't even lie to you. It was early on. I think it was when CC got hurt, and I felt like it was deflating. It was hard for people to kind of see us and see our energy for what we brought to the table as a team. Hats off to CC for, being a great teammate and having to go through so much with injury. But, the all we got, all we need was it's a staple to who we trying to be as a team and who we want our culture to be. We can't help the ones that's not here, which is unfortunate, but we can help who is. And be present about that and not disrespect the game because, I would like to think that CC, Aries, Sid will want to play and be in our shoes. And so I think the all we got, all we need is just, it's kind of like a respect thing, but to put it in the air that we all we got and we all we need because...
Therefore, Mitchell's message seemed to change from supporting her injured friend to the player who is the franchise's future. It sounded more like Clark is out, but we don't really need her anyhow. The fans took it that way, even though Kelsey may not have meant it that way. Furthermore, it is impossible to take back the words once they are spoken. Despite Mitchell's best efforts to clarify herself,
she's dissing Caitlin Clark, but a lot of people is insinuating that. Now, we have seen time and time again members of her family even take shots at Caitlin Clark. Now, those are facts.
In actuality, Kelsey Mitchell is a fantastic player. She has gained her reputation as a bucket getter and is among the league's most reliable scorers. However, being a true leader and just making baskets are two different things. Being a leader means having a broad perspective, considering the group as a whole, and having the ability to uplift others around you. Saying "we all need" immediately following the loss of a teammate, particularly one like Clark who has been instrumental in the group's recent success, sounds more like subtracting than adding. And that's when the immediate regret starts to set in.
Kelsey, through all the ups and downs of this season, and I know you have bigger goals in mind, but the team ensured a 500 finish, back-to-back years doing that. I mean,
it's a big deal.
Right, given everything that this team has gone through this year, and the fact that you guys, I think, are one win away from securing a playoff spot, what did it take to kind of stay the course, and what does that mean to just at least get that one thing kind of checked off?
It's definitely a stepping stone in the right direction. I think considering where this organization has been and some of the great players that's come through it, We got to look at this, like I said, for a winning moment tonight. It doesn't happen a lot, and where we've been at, you guys know what it's been like the last couple of years here. And so to see the tables kind of turn, it works in our favor. And I think that we deserve it from a standpoint of we put the work in to be here. And so I like to think that you guys going to keep sticking it with us too, because, you guys deserve it. In order to capture good content and all that, you got to win. And so I think it goes together as far as both sides, but I think it's definitely important for us to kind of bask in it for a little bit, because I remember where this group was.
This one isn't getting away with it. Let's face it, Ron Rose Ford. Caitlin Clark is the reason behind the Fever's surge in popularity, their higher TV ratings, their sold-out games, and the jerseys that are flying off the shelves. Clark has made the Fever a national story, whether Mitchell likes it or not. Even if Kelsey Mitchell scores 28 points in a single game, it won't really matter unless someone checks the box score. In contrast, Caitlin Clark scores 15 points, makes a few clutch threes, and all of a sudden, it becomes popular on all social media channels. It's hardly a criticism of Mitchell's abilities. It's simply the way the business operates. Mitchell's remarks, however, come across as completely different from acknowledging that Clark's presence has helped her own reputation rise. Resentment. After hearing her remarks, fans start to believe that she doesn't value Clark's contributions. Furthermore, that perception has the potential to be quite harmful. The storyline takes care of itself once supporters begin to assume that you're envious of your teammate, and we have saw that occur previously. Ask Sophie Cunningham, who has spent years being portrayed as the league's villain. For better or worse, Cunningham has turned into the bad girl of the league. You can bet that Sophie's name will go viral on social media whenever there is a violent altercation on the court. She has been referred to as cocky, filthy, and much worse. Sophie, however, doesn't give up. She plays her part without apology since she is aware of who she is. Cunningham's name is now being brought up in the discussion since Mitchell's remarks unintentionally highlight the same polarizing force that Sophie has been dealing with for years. The problem here is that, in order for the Fever to succeed, Clark and Mitchell must truly coexist. Who scores higher or receives more media attention is not the point of this contest. It has to do with equilibrium. Croningham, Clark's playmaking skills, and Mitchell's scoring prowess may make the ideal combination. However, whether consciously or inadvertently, Mitchell's shade always makes it more difficult to strike that equilibrium. To be honest, Sophie Cunningham would most likely chuckle her way through this whole ordeal. She has experienced it previously. She has had to cope with being referred to as the league's villain. Despite hearing all of the hate speech, she remains steadfast. The turmoil is what Sophie lives on. However, Mitchell appears uneasy when the spotlight shifts to the bad. And because of her, she is caught in the middle of the mantra that we all need. The worst part is still to come. Without Clark, the Fever didn't exactly blow the league away. They may eke out a few victories, but you had better support your rallying cry. We don't need her. With domination on the court, in Clark's place, the Fever have instead been erratic. Mitchell's remarks appear much worse in light of that. Dominating your opponents is a good way to demonstrate that you don't need Clark. If not, you're only providing your detractors with more ammunition to use against you. In a way, it's almost humorous. The same athletes who scoff at Clark's attentiveness are unaware of how much it helps them. In the absence of Caitlin Clark, Mitchell's remarks are going unnoticed. No one is interested. However, everything is magnified when Clark is in the spotlight. And that's the cost of being famous. You're also in the spotlight if you're on her team. When you consider that Mitchell didn't foresee the consequences of a simple locker room remark, the regret truly begins to set in. When she uttered the words, "We all we got, we all we need," she most likely believed that she was merely inspiring her comrades. However, when Clark's injuries was taken into consideration, the meaning of those statements changed entirely. Mitchell was no longer viewed as a leader attempting to inspire her squad. The player who had made the Fever a cultural phenomenon was dismissed since she was seen as an experienced gamer. And nobody wants that appearance. The unfortunate thing is that, of all people, Sophie Cunningham understands what it's like to live with being seen as the bad person. She has been wrongfully accused of being arrogant and nasty. She accepts it all, though. Sophie transforms her bad energy into motivation for her work. However, Mitchell hasn't been able to use the spotlight in the same manner, which is disappointing. Mitchell's remarks give the impression that she is attempting to carve out her own lane by disparaging her teammate rather than using Clark's fame to further her own career. The Fever don't require that kind of chemistry. The team's prospects of success are further reduced if Mitchell and Clark are unable to get along, and if one of them feels betrayed by the other. In athletics, this is nothing new. When a trendy new celebrity takes over and steals the show, veterans feel offended. It's difficult to accept, particularly when the celebrity is accomplishing goals that veterans have been attempting for years. Although Mitchell has been the consistent scorer, Mitchell will need to accept that Clark has caused a cultural shift. The thing is this. Mitchell is not required to be in love with Caitlin Clark. She must respect what Clark means to the Fever, even if they are not best friends. They are just another small market team fighting for recognition without Clark. They are a national story with her. Mitchell is missing the broad picture if she is unable to see that. The regret truly sinks in at this point. Mitchell may not have meant for his remarks to be taken as a slight, but once the fans began to read them in a different way, the harm was done. It is nearly impossible to change a narrative after it has been established. Mitchell runs the risk of being given a name she will never be able to remove if she doesn't accept the truth of her circumstances the way Sophie Cunningham has accepted her place as the league's villain, the term for the envious veteran who didn't value the player that helped the squad reach the national level. Without Caitlin Clark having to speak, her supporters will stand up for her. They've already seen how the media has portrayed Sophie Cunningham's journey, and now they're doing the same to Mitchell. It will be very difficult for Mitchell to regain the fans' faith once that impression takes hold. We'll scrutinize every word she says for any hints of envy. And that same analytical eye will be used to examine each game she plays. Ultimately, statistics aren't the point of this. Who gets the most points is not the goal of this. Perception is key. Furthermore, it is difficult to reverse that perception after it is changed. Mitchell may have believed that her motto was merely a harmless phrase. However, given Clark's injury and Cunningham's legacy, it appears to be something far more harmful. Mitchell has genuine regret, and it will remain with her until she finds a way to put things right. Ivor would undoubtedly separate from the WLY Jerks, and a punishment would be imposed that her Joe Harberly would.